Hello everyone and welcome to Pulse Maharashtra with me Vinaya Deshpande. I am the Maharashtra Chief of Bureau of The Hindu, and like every week I'm going to take you through some of the top stories of Maharashtra, after which we are going to deep dive into one of the most important stories. Now, 17 years after the dastardly terror attacks on Mumbai, the 26/11 attacks, one of the main conspirators, Tahawwur Rana, has been brought back to India to face justice. This is a story which is the headline for this week. After that, what has really been on top of the headlines in Maharashtra this week has been the action by the Maharashtra Navnirman Sena. Now, on the basis of the regional aspirations or linguistic pride, MNS went on a rampage for the last few weeks, leading to assaults and verbal abuse against at least 30 different officials across the state, allegedly for not speaking in Marathi. The issue raged all across the state after all these 30 assaults and threats were raised by the bankers' labor unions, saying that Raj Thackeray should avoid getting into such gimmicks. At the same time, we have seen that Raj Thackeray has issued a letter to the Indian Bankers Association asking them to make sure that their staffers, particularly the officers, also speak in Marathi. These were the top stories from Maharashtra this week. But coming back to the most important story that we are going to highlight today, and the reason for highlighting it is at the midst of this 26/11 terror attack case, which has been raging nationally as well as internationally, and which is being seen as a diplomatic victory for India after Tahawwur Rana has been brought back. In the center of this is a man who has been inextricably linked to the 26/11 terror attack, and that is IPS officer Sadanand Date, who currently heads the National Investigative Agency, the federal investigative agency which was formed after 26/11 primarily to look at terror cases. At a time when the 26/11 attacks took place, and he was one of the top police officials to be in the line of fire, who faced the bullets, who faced the grenade, and who took action against the terrorists, leading to the rescue and safety of several women and children at Kama Hospital, to a time when he now heads the NIA, which is responsible for undertaking the safety and for taking Tahawwur Rana for a trial in the 26/11 case. In some ways, Sadanand Date has been inextricably linked to the 26/11 terror attacks. We spoke with his childhood friend Shailendra Paranspe to know more.
Sadanand is a childhood friend, almost right from the age of 4 or 5 we are good friends, and we have shared, we are almost like neighbors, and we have played all the games which generally kids in Pune play together. We used to celebrate Ganesh festival. We used to perform in a play during the Ganesh festival. We used to participate in elocution contest during the Ganesh festival. And many of us will not be knowing about Sadanand, because right now we know him as heading NIA or being a police officer, a brave police officer who fought during 26/11. But his father died when he was in 8th or 9th standard, and he has 2 siblings, like one elder brother and one younger brother, and his mother was a housewife. So when his father died, maybe it was maybe in the 78, 79, 77, 78, 79. So he had to work as a newspaper vendor. Then he also used to go to a family where he used to water the plants in their garden and used to get rupees 5 per month. So he has many hard days he has seen, and it was really difficult to meet two ends. And his mother has worked cooking in others places for ensuring that her three sons complete their education. But the lady ensured that all the three sons completed their graduation. Sadanand even went on to complete post graduation and gave UPSC. He succeeded and became IPS. He also has ICWA, and what I know about him is he is a voracious reader right from childhood, and we have played all the games together. And what I like to tell about Date is, or Sadanand is, we refer to him as Bhau. Bhau is I have seen only very few and rare friends of mine who are really ever growing. Now, after completing graduation, he went to become IPS officer. After becoming IPS officer, he underwent several trainings. Sadanand was additional CP that time, and 26/11 he was about to go to bed, and he came to know on a flash on television channel that there was random firing at CST, and he rushed to the spot because the additional CP who was in charge of CST area was on leave, and Sadanand had to take charge. So when he rushed to his place from Malwar Hill residence of his and went to Kama hospital, where a PSI stopped his vehicle and told him that two people have entered Kama hospital and they are randomly firing. So no one knew that it was a terror attack. But after entering the hospital, another PSI along with 2-3 constables met Sadanand and briefed him that they were randomly firing and they had gone to terrace and they have kept some people hostages. As hostage. So Sadanand went to terrace via lift at 6th floor and came down from the lift, went 6th floor and briefed his staff, 2 PSI and 4 constables, and the action started, which lasted for almost 40 minutes. And in the process, Kasab and Ismail were on the top, and they fired with their AK-47, as well as they hurled 5 grenades at Sadanand and his team. Most of the police personnel, including 2 officers, were grievously injured, and the last bomb exploded a foot from right foot of Sadanand, and he was grievously injured. So during that action and after that action, Sadanand has never given any TV interview or a big interview giving all the details about this action. What he maintains is he's very humble, and what he maintains is, I was never a hero before 26/11, I was not hero on 26/11, and I am not a hero after 26/11. I just perform my duty because being an IPS officer, government has given me training, imparted training, and I perform my duty. That's the kind of person he is. A very forthright, honest officer, voracious reader, a very good family man, a very good friend. And I learned a lot of things from Sadanand.
Within days after 1990 batch decorated IPS officer with a squeaky clean image, Sadanand Date assumed charge as the Director General of the country's Federal Counter-Terrorism Agency, NIA, last year. Retired Super Cop J.F. Ribeiro wrote about him. Sadanand Date of the Maharashtra cadre of the IPS is easily one of the brightest gems the IPS has produced over more than 7 decades of its existence. He has functioned as a senior police officer in very difficult times when loyalty to the party in power takes precedence over loyalty to the constitution and the law. The community to which he belongs was known for its adherence to truth and justice, for its value system, for a simple living but high thinking. Sadanand has encompassed in his personality all those traits. He overcame poverty as a child and cracked the UPSC to enter the august portals of the IPS. At this juncture, Sadanand Date will galvanize the investigation against Tahawwur Rana in a case which he has been intricately associated with over the last 17 years. In fact, before moving on to the NIA, he had headed the Mumbai crime branch, had been Mumbai's Joint Police Commissioner for Law and Order, overseeing a part of Ajmal Kasab's execution, had headed Maharashtra Anti-Terrorism Squad, and had been at the helm of the elite Force 1. He is a postgraduate in commerce from Pune University, and was awarded PhD by the Pune University in the year 2003 for his research on the theme Monitoring of Economic Offences, a Management Control Systems Perspective. He was also a Fulbright scholar who had studied the white collar and organized crime cases in the US in 2005-6. In his initial years in service, he was posted in Naxal affected areas where he faced challenging situations and led to the surrender of dreaded Naxals much before the surrender scheme had become a practice. In 2008, during the 26/11 terror attacks, he fought Ajmal Kasab and Ismail. A grenade was lobbed at him, injuring him grievously, but his bravery led to the safety of scores of hostages at the Kama and Albless Hospital for Women and Children in Mumbai. Recognizing his bravery, the President of India conferred on him President's Police Medal for Gallantry on the occasion of Republic Day in 2009. Over his 35-year-long career, he received several commendations for his work from the Director of CBI, DG-CRPF and the DGP of Maharashtra. He was awarded Mahatma Gandhi Peace and Communal Harmony Award by the Minorities Commission of the Government of Maharashtra for the year 2009. He was awarded Police Medal for the Meritorious Service by the President of India in 2007. He was decorated with Parakram Padak in 2013. He was awarded President's Police Medal for Distinguished Service in the year 2014. He has continuously worked on effective delivery of police services, organizational development, counter-terrorism, community policing, and police welfare. But who is the man behind the uniform? What are the aspects of his personal and professional life that make him stand out? It was our privilege to speak with Atul Chandra Kulkarni, ex-IPS officer and administrative member of the Maharashtra Administrative Tribunal. He is a very close friend of Sadanand Date's, who has also worked closely with him on several occasions. Let's listen in to what he has to say. Hello everyone to this episode of Pulse Maharashtra with me Vinaya Deshpande. Today as we talk of Sadanand Date, the NIA chief who's inextricably linked to the 26/11 case at several crucial junctures, I have with me Atul Chandra Kulkarni, who's a retired IPS officer and currently an administrative member of MAT, who has been associated with Date sir for a very long period professionally as well as personally, and who has himself been associated with the 26/11 probe, who has headed the ATS at a juncture. Sir, thank you so much for speaking with the Hindu. Welcome on the show. And let me begin right away by asking you about the long association with Sadanand Date, sir. We all know about his bravery when it came to the 26/11 attacks. We all know about the Gallantry Award that he had won and the crucial role he had played even during the execution of Ajmal Kasab. What do you think are the most crucial aspects of the case through which have come to light because of him?
First of all, thanks a lot for getting me on the show. And of course, it's a very pleasant job to be talking about my good friend, batchmate, and an excellent professional, Sadanand Date. The his association with the case, as you are aware, is it begins on 26/11 itself. The way he was, he was into the whole drama that unfolded that night. I would call it a battle, and he was one of the warriors directly in the front of the battle, and he was also injured because of an
In
injury.
fact, though he doesn't like to call himself a hero, he is indeed a 26/11 hero.
Sure, sure, for sure, he's a hero, and I think we all need to acknowledge that even at late point of time as of now. Anyway, so it started with his direct role in 26/11. Thereafter, he headed the Force One at a little later juncture. He headed the crime branch of Mumbai Police. He was also the Joint Commissioner Law and Order for the Mumbai Police. And thereafter, he also headed the Maharashtra Anti-Terrorism Squad. before moving on to the National Investigation Agency. In between, of course, he was in the uh, paramilitary wing of Indian Armed Forces, CRPF, and in all this duration, during all this duration of long, maybe about 15 odd years, he has been associated with 2611 in this form or that form, and he has been working on several leads. He is himself known to be a very studious and an excellent professional, studious officer and excellent professional, and he has been kind of looking at various aspects of it. I remember that time I was working in the Central Intelligence Agency, and he had passed on the Rand Commission report on 9/11 to me, and he wanted me to just go through it and take a look and try to see if we have any lessons to be taught. So a long association that he had with 2611, of course, and now he is heading the NIA at this crucial juncture when we have one of the major associates of David Hindi, and of course one of the players in the whole episode, Tahawwur Rana, returning to the country.
So, all of us know of his stellar biodata. We know of his gallantry awards. We know of his postings at several places. His PhD as well with respect to policing. Only he has done a lot in community policing as well. If you can throw light on the man behind the uniform, what are the peculiar qualities that he has that brings a lot of professionalism to what he does.
A very humble, very well grounded, uh, thinking, uh, passionate and compassionate. I would call both compassionate for the junior staff and passionate for the work that he does. He comes across as a uh, very excellent professional. This is what I would like to say about him. There are a number of things which are coming to my mind when I'm talking about him. But this is, I think, the beginning that I would like to say.
So, if you could elaborate more on each of these, because considering that he has been extremely low profile throughout his professional life, so have you been throughout your service as well. The fact that he hasn't really given any big interviews, hasn't really spoken to the media, it is an effort to build a profile of a person who is now at the helm of the federal terror anti-terror investigation agency at a time when it is considered to be a diplomatic victory for India to bring back Tahawwur Rana. If we can have glimpses of memories and through the kind of professional landmarks that he has had about the man himself.
Uh, I'll go backwards. I'll go into the personal association of mine with him a little later. But basically, to begin with, I would say last about a year plus, he has been heading the National Investigation Agency, an excellent professional, as I mentioned. And the NIA is, I would say, in a very safe and competent hands of Sadanand Date. Of course, it's a teamwork. There is a very good team at NIA. NIA has acquitted itself very well in the last over a decade and a half. And I don't know if you are aware, but the NIA conviction rate, and let me assure you, out of the 700 odd cases that they have done so far, more than half have been already tried and kind of decided by the courts. So the conviction rate of NIA is more than 94%. It's one of the phenomenal rates of conviction in the whole country and probably in the whole world. And he is heading that agency. uh, I, for some time after debuting office, the special DG, and I was in Delhi, and I had an occasion to interact with him on number of issues connected with the NI. The moment he landed in the NI, he started working on what is the charter of NI and how he trying to cater to it, what kind of systems he should put in place. And then there were a lot of discussions back and forth. And then he, devised a plan of action for the NI. So he is that kind of a person. The moment he takes over any charge, he looks at all the things in all the things connected with that charge. The challenge is the charter, etc. And then he starts drawing a plan of action for the tenure that he would be there in that organization. I'm reminded of his 100 days charter that he drew for himself when he became the commissioner of police in Mira Bhayandar. Now, I don't know how many in the country would know, but Mira Bhayandar Vasai is one of the outskirts. I mean, though they are the outskirts, on the outskirts of the city of Mumbai, but they are most happening places as far as crime and everything else goes in this part of the country. And so he had, he set out for himself 100 days work schedule and decided how to go about with various aspects of work in that area. And he was the first founding commissioner there, and I'm sure he has laid a very solid foundation there. So he is that kind of a person. Before that, he was in the anti-terrorism squad. There also, he decided to look at the training needs of the people. Wanted to train, build the capabilities of the officers working in anti-terrorism squad. Again, it's a very lean and thin and efficient machine, of the government of Maharashtra, and he ensured that each one of them is trained properly. And for that, he also, set out for himself the work of finding out training needs of the people. And I remember there were two professors from Pune which he put on job, and they had, while I was in the NI, they had interacted with me for an hour and a half to find out what should be the training component of officers and men in the ATS. So that kind of methodical work he undertakes when he joins any setup. Even in the crime branch, he had laid very solid foundation, and anything that strikes his mind he discusses with the stakeholders, and then he takes up that task upon himself. So I remember in the crime branch he had taken up the challenge of training officers in intelligence analysis. And then we discussed, since I had my own background of intelligence agency, he discussed with me and maybe several others, and then we found out the resource persons who could take up the intelligence training. Then he devised a training module, which was a little less than a week, if I recollect properly. And then he set out on giving the training, I mean, imparting the training to the officers. While he was Joint Commissioner Law and Order, I remember the most important thing that he did was he devised a mechanism called anti-terrorism cells, which are now part of each police station in Mumbai, which have been canonized through a standing order of the Commissioner of Police Mumbai and a standing order of the Director General of Police for rest of the state. And these are a very small setup. Each police station has one ATS, one ATC, I'm sorry, anti-terrorism cell, with one officer and a few policemen. And there are about, I think, now close to 100 police stations in the city. And the feeling that was reflected to me when I joined in the anti-terrorism squad as the head there, when I interacted with the community was having a feeling that the police has reached every nook and corner of the city, and there can be nothing which can escape their attention. So for that I would give maximum credit to this ATCs, which he ensured, the men were there, were trained. There was a mechanism of feedback, there was a mechanism of reporting. And I remember again I was interacting with him along with several others officers and several other officers. And initially we devised something like 44 formats of report, then we came down to some 32, 33, then we came down to 26 or 27, and now probably it is somewhere around 22 or 23 report formats for each of these ATCs to report to the special branch of Mumbai Police. And this all work he was monitoring while he was the Joint Commissioner Law and Order, and Mumbai being the maximum city, he was always having his hands full in terms of law and order and several other things. But he had found time for doing all these things, and that's what I would say the professional in Sadanand is.
So there are two very interesting facets that have come out of this interesting conversation that we are having out of the points that you've put forth. One is that several colleagues of his have also stated that he's an institution builder. What you have elaborated so far is the way he has been building structures in order to strengthen the policing machinery, what also comes out of this conversation is the kind of professional overlaps that you have had over a long association, may it be heading the ATS, may it be heading the NIA, may it be being at the crime branch. You have seen several overlaps. So you have the privilege of not just being a friend to him, but also a professional who has probably preceded his work time in a particular kind of posting, or probably taken it up a few months or years thereafter. How do you see this association?
Uh, as I said, association has a very pleasant dimension in terms of personal equations. Both our families know each other and all the members of the family very well. We have been together, we have been meeting very frequently in social way and kind of interacting with each other. That is one aspect of the whole thing. So we are more of friends than batchmates now, and I am actually very proud to be associated with him, given the work that he is doing for the nation. That's that apart, but the association that I had as a professional with him, because in the crime branch I succeeded him, and in the ATS he is sort of succeeded me, and of course the first one and so many other charges I had no occasion to directly interact with him or directly be his either successor or predecessor. But in the crime branch, I had seen the way that he had laid foundations of the branch, the way he had undertaken action against, concerted action against uh, uh, the underworld, which is the major brief of the crime branch. Concerted action was undertaken. Again, the systems were built there. He would always be a team player. He would take the team along. And I remember, I mean, just on the lighter side, the one of the most important aspects that I discussed with him was the to know the persona of each of the officers working in the crime branch, because as you are aware, crime branch is an institution, and of course an institution with all the uh, officers of all kinds. So then he would tell something good about some officers, something to be watchful about some other officers. And I had before I had completed a week in my office as crime branch joint commissioner. I was already kind of briefed about each individual officer thoroughly. So this was one aspect of the
So you had tremendous insight within a week.
absolutely, absolutely. I was hands on with the crime branch working, and I immediately started working thanks to his feedback. I think I mentioned to you some time back that he left crime branch and he went over to the central organization called CRPF, Central Reserve Police Force. There he joined as joint.
So, before you start with CRPF, if I may request you to say, we are talking about a force which is, which doesn't always take to successor predecessor kind of relationships very nicely every time. We have also seen how egos get hurt, how if somebody has started a practice, the successor tries to find fault with it, or is not very agreeable to the kind of things that have been put in practice. On that background, the kind of experiences that you have narrated with the kind of sharing of insights, of the kind of hand holding that both of you have done with each other at crucial junctures, uh, comes across as a rarity, really.
As I said, it transcends the professional. My relationship with him is much more than that, and I have a very high regard for the way he works, for the way he tirelessly puts in his efforts. He is a methodical worker, and also, as I mentioned, he builds a team. He takes the team along, and he tries to, though leading the team, he tries to remain in the background as far as credit taking goes. So the moment there is no credit sharing, I mean, the race for credit sharing, the things are cool. Then, of course, you don't, kind of jostle with each other in that sense. So that's where probably his strength lies. He was also in the economic offences wing in Mumbai Police. He did a great work there. He actually devised the standard operating procedure for investigation of economic offences, which is a major challenge in a maximum city and commercial city capital of the country like Mumbai. So he devised that based on his experience in the CBI. So twice he was in the center, once in CBI earlier, and thereafter in CRPF, and now it is the third time that he's in the government of India, working as the head of the National Investigation Agency. So what I was trying to say was actually connected. When he went over to the CRPF as the in charge, IG in charge of operations, and he was tasked with looking at the Naxal theater in Chhattisgarh, he he was, we always interact. So he passed on some important leads from that side to me to look at the urban side of the Naxalism. And I was immensely benefited with the small set of tips that he provided to me. And then I worked on it and built on it. So that kind of an association we had, and that kind of an eye for details he had, and he continues to have. So this is what I wanted to kind of mention when I mentioned CRPF. He was also instrumental in putting in place the digitization of the e-court mechanism in the country. Because after CRPF, he joined as Joint Secretary in the Ministry of Law and Justice in Government of India, and he was tasked by the then Supreme Court in charge of judge in charge of the courts. And he had, traveled throughout the country and done a number of things, looking at the processes uh, to be instituted in this mechanism. So again, I mean that is a phenomenal work, because now when we access the court websites and things like that on digital media, we get the things at the click of a button.
With respect to the digitization of the judicial records, with respect to kind of freeing up or democratizing or making it easy for people to access digital judicial information, this is a facet that we would like you to speak more about, because not many people know about it. It's not really much in the public domain. Clearly, whenever there is an effort to free up information, there is there can be a lot of resistance from within the system itself, from the entrenched interest itself. So it isn't just a task which needs to be done in order to further the democracy. It is also an uphill battle. So if you could talk to us more about this facet, please.
Yes, I can do that. Basically, what happened is he joined the Ministry of Law and Justice, and there he was handed over this task by the then Supreme Court judges to look at and put this thing in place. And he very willingly took this up. And not only that, he also ensured that there is a budgetary allocation which comes through. And there are a lot of hardwares required for putting things in place. Then they went in for a pilot project in one of the districts in Maharashtra. He kind of informed that to me, because by then I had landed in the CID Maharashtra, and we were the nodal agency for the prestigious project of Government of India called CCTNS. So he told me that, in CCTNS, one of the wings, one of the pillars of CCTNS was supposed to be e-courts. I mean, what is happening in the courts. So he told me all the things, and then he said, "This is the judge, district judge with whom I should be interacting, and I should be also helping on the pilot project." And that's how the whole thing came up. There were reviews taken up at the level of NIC. There was an officer from the NIC who was handpicked and who was working then with him and with the whole team of e-courts. The officer now currently is with the Supreme Court of India as one of the registrars from the NIC side. So a very fine work that Mr. Date did uh, in this particular charge as Joint Secretary Law and Justice. And he ensured that this really starts cracking, they gets cracking the e-courts mechanism. I think that's another facet, as you rightly said, not many know. But today we have a lot of information available at the click of button on all the websites, including the Supreme Court, the High Courts, and the district courts also. So it is actually now reaching the Mofussil courts also. So I think the whole mechanism has been a there has been a huge contribution from Sadan Date's side.
So that's such a beautiful insight to give into the man who has had a long and illustrious career. My last question to you: now that Tahawwur Rana has been brought here to face justice, you have yourself been associated with the probe of 2611 at one point in time. You have uh, heard David Headley's confessions as well. You have traveled to US for that as well. What is it that you would have in mind for the man who's currently heading the force that has the charge of Tahawwur Rana?
No, as is his style of working, I would definitely, I'm absolutely sure that by now he would be ready with what to ask Rana, what information to get. And he has himself since worked in Mumbai city for a longer period in different capacities. He has a deeper insight into a number of things. He already knows what kind of targets were wrecked by Rana's team, that is Headley and others, and what is on cards, basically, to put it in very short. And I'm sure he would ask the team and guide the team in NIA ably to take the task up to get things out of this person who is now landed in the country.
Thank you so much, sir. I'm sorry, but Julio Ribeiro had called him the brightest star of the police force at one point in time. Your parting thoughts on your friend and the head of NIA.
No, no, he's definitely one of the sterling professionals in the police force, and I would definitely agree with Mr. Ribeiro. As you are aware, we in Maharashtra cadre revere Mr. Ribeiro as the patriarch of the police officers' families, and of course, he has been our role model in a sense. So he is definitely right when he says that, and we are all hopeful that Mr. Date will rise to the occasion, and he has a year and a year and more. I think about 2 years, close to 2 years to go in service, and he will reach further heights. So, of course, wish him all the very best.
Thank you so much for your valuable time, Atul Kulkarni, sir. It was a pleasure speaking with you, and thank you for your time for the Hindu.